Question 243. AWS connects customer data centers and applications through dedicated networks. What is the cloud deployment model? And the options are A. Public cloud, B. Multi-cloud, C. Private cloud, D. Hybrid cloud. And the correct answer is option D. Hybrid cloud. Explanation. The cloud deployment model is a hybrid cloud. Hybrid clouds are often used where there is a requirement of burst capacity where workloads are spilled over to a different cloud environment to meet capacity demands for a short period of time. Here, purchasing capacity may not be a good idea since it will be extremely ineffective from a cost standpoint, resulting in underutilization of resources once the requirement for capacity ends. The other compelling use case for a hybrid cloud is a highly available or disaster recovery environment where the cloud model offers a lot of flexibility in making resources in the event of a data center failure, where the client may not need upfront investments for resources for an alternate site. Option A is incorrect. When an application is fully deployed on a vendor's AWS and Google cloud infrastructure, it is termed as a public cloud. The application features may have been either developed on the cloud or migrated from an existing cloud's on-premise infrastructure. Our scenario uses both the customer's data center and AWS. Option B is incorrect. A multi-cloud leverages different cloud providers' environments. He may deploy his applications on AWS and Google Cloud based on compute speed requirements, availability of managed services, etc. With the use of multi-cloud, it is best to use open source tools like Terraform for infrastructure as code, Splunk for monitoring that are cloud vendor agnostic to avoid vendor lock-in. Since our scenario uses only the customer data center and AWS, there are no multiple cloud deployments. Option C is incorrect. A private cloud refers to a cloud environment that has been built in-house on the client's premises using virtualization and resources management tools. Private clouds are usually built for specific security and regulatory requirements, especially hardware or configuration requirements, and extremely critical network latency that may not be possible on a vendor's public cloud platform. Since our scenario has both the client's data center and the AWS cloud, it will not result in a private cloud configuration. Next question. Your company has set up EC2 instances in a VPC for their application. When it comes to traffic flowing in and out of instances, the IT security department needs to understand what security mechanisms are available. In the VPC, what are the two layers of security provided by AWS? Select two options. And the options are A. Security groups, B. Network ACLs, C. DHCP options, D. Route tables. And the correct answer is option A. Security groups and B. Network ACLs. Explanation. The AWS documentation mentions the following. A security group acts as a virtual firewall for your instance to control inbound and outbound traffic. When you launch an instance in a VPC, you can assign up to 5 security groups to the instance. A Network Access Control List (ACL) is an optional layer of security for your VPC that acts as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of one or more subnets. You might set up network ACLs with rules similar to your security groups in order to add an additional layer of security to your VPC. Option C is incorrect, since this is used to decide on the DNS servers for the VPC. Option D is incorrect, since this is used for routing traffic in the VPC. Next question. Which of the following may not be an economic benefit of using AWS cloud services? And the options are A. The client is running a dedicated MySQL database server on AWS with its own CPU-bound license. B. The client is running spot instances for batch data processing workloads. C. The client is running applications with a relatively predictable and consistent resource demand using AWS reserved instances. D. The client is using S3 Intelligent Tiering Storage class while uploading objects. And the correct answer is option A. The client is running a dedicated MySQL database server on AWS with its own CPU-bound license. Explanation. CPU-bound software licenses will require a dedicated host tenancy model rather than a shared tenancy model for the EC2 instances hosting the MySQL database software. Dedicated hosts are the most expensive tenancy model when it comes to pricing. For example, an M4 large on-demand dedicated host is 24 times more expensive than an on-demand shared host. A dedicated host tenancy may be used under exceptional circumstances of spiky traffic, while purchasing hardware on-premise may not be the best option. Then the client can take advantage of cloud elasticity. Option B is incorrect. Batch processing jobs rely more on accuracy rather than on speed, which forms a good use case for using spot instances, providing economies of compute where intermittent disconnections may not be a real problem. Option C is incorrect. AWS reserved instances have discounts on the EC2 uses. This method can provide an economic benefits. Option D is incorrect. S3 intelligent tiering is a smart solution for managing the life cycle of S3 objects, resulting in economies of cost. With intelligent tiering, there are no retrieval fees, nor there are any fees for moving objects between tiers, unlike using S3 lifecycle policies, which incurs data transfer charges. S3 lifecycle policies are also often challenging to define due to the unpredictable nature of application adoption and uses. Even in scenarios where access frequency is known, it may so happen that customers may not use proper storage class adjustments, resulting in non-optimized budgets. Option E is incorrect. An active-passive failover will always be economical to a client using the strategy for disaster recovery scenarios, since he will not be investing in an entire redundant site with all resources running simultaneously. He will have the flexibility to select his strategy depending on his recovery time objective. This will help him to save on cost. Next question. Your company asked you to check whether EC2 instances are running properly. You have written a script that will help to obtain the instance ID and then send a notification to an SNS topic. How can you retrieve the instance ID? And the options are A. By querying the instance metadata. B. By querying the instance user data. C. You need to get authorized with an IAM role prior to accessing the instance ID using metadata. D. You need to log into the AWS console and manually check the instance ID and instance status. And the correct answer is option A. By querying the instance metadata. Explanation. Because your instance metadata is available from your running instance, you do not need to use the Amazon EC2 console or the AWS CLI. This can be helpful when you're writing scripts to run from your instance. An instance's metadata provides you with information about the instance ID, local IP, instance type, etc. Option B is incorrect. User data is a section used for providing startup configuration to an EC2 instance. If you need to have an Apache web server running on an EC2 instance after it is provisioned, you can use the user data section and provide scripts for installing the software during instance creation. Option C is incorrect. Metadata information is available to EC2 instances by default without the need to provide an IAM role for accessing it. Option D is incorrect. Console login or manual intervention is not required to achieve this task. You can write a script and configure it to run at a scheduled time of the day wherein the EC2 instance can express itself to provide its health status. Next question. For storing on-prem backups, which S3 storage class is most cost-effective? And the options are A. S3 Standard, B. S3 Standard Infrequent Access, C. S3 Intelligent Tiering, D. S3 One Zone Infrequent Access. And the correct answer is option D. S3 One Zone Infrequent Access. Explanation. S3 One Zone Infrequent Access should be the preferable S3 storage class, as other storage classes are costly options. In this scenario, the data is a secondary backup copy and hence shall be accessed infrequently. Data resilience is not mandatorily required since the data is a secondary backup copy. Option A is incorrect. S3 standard will not be preferred as this will be a costly option when the requirement could be fulfilled using S3 One Zone IA. Option B is incorrect. S3 standard infrequent access will not be preferred as this will be a costly option when the requirement could be fulfilled by using S3 One Zone IA. Option C is incorrect. S3 intelligent tiering is incorrect because this is apt for data with changing patterns and here the pattern is not changing. This is also a costly option. Next question. A mobile app requires access to AWS resources such as S3 and DynamoDB. What is the most secure and easy way for mobile application users to access AWS resources? And the options are A. AWS security credentials should be stored within the mobile app for access to AWS resources. B. Security token service with identity federation will allow a user to access resources. C. Create users and groups within IAM and assign IAM policies for accessing the resources. D. Connect the mobile app to another web application running on an EC2 instance to access AWS resources. And the correct answer is option B. Security token service with identity federation will allow a user to access resources. Explanation. The best way to provide access to AWS resources in this scenario will be to use federated identity access using external identity providers like Amazon, Facebook, Google, etc. The mobile app can establish trust with these well-known IDPs and take advantage of the authentication mechanisms to validate user identity. As shown in the figure below, the mobile app uses Amazon as the external IDP for accepting user credentials and authenticating him. Using Cognito and the security token service, the mobile app then gets temporary security credentials for accessing the AWS resources required by the app. The role associated with the STS token and its assigned policies determine what can be accessed. Option A is incorrect. Distributing long-term AWS security credentials with external applications is not recommended, since the credentials may be compromised, resulting in security breaches. Option C is incorrect. Creating an ever-growing set of users within AWS IAM and assigning them permissions for accessing AWS resources will be impractical. Option D is incorrect, although it is a viable option to connect to an EC2 instance running a similar web application. It will duplicate effort on the developer's part. Next question. A retail company has launched a new application on Amazon EC2 instances. The application accepts both HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Due to the increased traffic during the monthly discounts, they had to introduce a load balancer to balance the load among the servers. What is the best load balancer to use? And the options are A. Classic load balancer, B. Network load balancer, C. Application load balancer, D. Both application load balancer and classic load balancer. And the correct answer is option C. Application load balancer. Explanation. Application load balancer operates at the request level, layer 7, routing traffic to targets, EC2 instances, containers, IP addresses, and Lambda functions based on the content of the request. Ideal for advanced load balancing of HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Application load balancer provides advanced request routing targeted at delivery of modern application architectures, including microservices and container-based applications. Application load balancer simplifies and improves the security of your application by ensuring that the latest SSL or TLS ciphers and protocols are used at all times. Option A is incorrect. Classic load balancer operates at request and connection level and provides basic load balancing. Classic load balancers can't redirect HTTP traffic to HTTPS by default. Option B is incorrect. Network load balancer is suitable for TCP, UDP, TLS traffic, load balancing and help provide extreme performance. Next question. Your client is interested in learning how AWS costs work. Which of these resources doesn't require payments from the client? And the options are A. RDS database backups, B. Inbound data transfer, C. EBS snapshots, D. Outbound data transfer. And the correct answer is option B. Inbound data transfer. Explanation. There are no inbound data transfer charges across all services in all regions. This means that customers can upload petabytes of data to storage destinations like S3 without paying inbound data transfer fees. Data transfers from on-premise to AWS cloud will also not incur transfer charges. Option A is incorrect. RDS provides both automatic backup and user-initiated point-in-time snapshots for maintaining reliability. Automatic backups are performed during the backup window of the DB instances as defined during database creation. A storage volume snapshot of the DB instance is created that backups the entire DB instance and not just the individual databases. RDS database backups are stored in S3 and are priced at $0.095 per GB month. Option C is incorrect. EBS snapshots are stored in S3 that will incur storage costs depending on their size and retention policy of S3. EBS snapshots incur $0.05 per GB month of data stored. Option D is incorrect. Outbound data transfers from AWS services are subject to cost depending on different parameters, like data transfers from services within AZs in a region, data transfers from services across regions, and data transfers from services to the internet. Outbound data transfer prices also vary based on the region. Data transfers can be costly for re-hosted applications on AWS that may not be configured or aligned with AWS optimized features. For example, data transfer through a VPC endpoint can be secure and cheaper compared to routing it through the internet. Next question. Which of the following statements about consolidated billing is incorrect? And the options are: A. A root account cannot incur usage charges. B. Consolidated billing is offered free of cost. C. You can use IAM policies from root account to control access to the budgets created by member accounts. D. Pricing models are applied across member accounts irrespective of a specific resource that the accounts may have. And the correct answer is option A. A root account cannot incur usage charges. Explanation. Although it is recommended that root accounts remain free of any resources, nothing stops the owner of the root account from creating resources. For example, the root account needs to have an S3 bucket where AWS cost and usage reports from the member accounts will be stored. Option B is incorrect. Consolidated billing is included in the free services list of AWS. Option C is incorrect. AWS budgets enable clients to plan their service usage cost and instance reservations. Accounts, single, master, and member have the ability to create budgets. When consolidated billing is used within an org, the master account has the ability to access budgets created by member accounts using IAM policies. Option D is incorrect. For billing purposes, the consolidated billing feature of AWS organizations treats all accounts in the org as one account. For instance, if there are 3 accounts linked for consolidated billing and one of them for account A has purchased 3 RI of M4 large configuration, it has not used them. Whenever account B launches an on-demand instance of M4 large, AWS will apply billing of the RI for account B. Thus, volume discounts are possible while using a consolidated billing model. Next question. Which AWS service can be deployed to enhance read performance for applications while reading data from NoSQL database? And the options are: A. Amazon Route 53, B. Amazon DynamoDB Accelerator, C. Amazon CloudFront, D. AWS Greengrass. And the correct answer is option B. Amazon DynamoDB Accelerator. Explanation. Amazon DynamoDB Accelerator is a caching service for DynamoDB which can be deployed in VPC in a region where DynamoDB is deployed. For read-heavy applications, DAX can be deployed to increase throughput by providing in-memory caching. Option A is incorrect because Amazon Route 53 is an AWS DNS service and cannot improve the performance of DynamoDB. Option C is incorrect because Amazon CloudFront is a global content delivery network that cannot be applied to a DynamoDB table. Option D is incorrect because AWS Greengrass is data caching software for connected devices. Next question. Why is AWS more economical than traditional data centers for applications with varying compute workloads? And the options are: A. Amazon EC2 costs are built on a monthly basis. B. Users retain full administrative access to their Amazon EC2 instances. C. Amazon EC2 instances can be launched on demand when needed. D. Users can permanently run enough instances to handle peak workloads. And the correct answer is option C. Amazon EC2 instances can be launched on demand when needed. Explanation. The ability to launch instances on demand when needed allows users to launch and terminate instances in response to a varying workload. This is a more economical practice than purchasing enough on-premises servers to handle the peak load. Option A is incorrect. EC2 uses are built on 1-second increments with a minimum of 60 seconds. Option B is incorrect. This is not an AWS advantage. Data center also provide administrative access. Option D is incorrect. Running instances permanently just to address the peak load is not economical and hence not considered as an advantage. Thank you for watching this video. Buy our AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner CLF-C01 premium questions with 50% off. Check link in the description.